So at this point, you've got a basic idea of the melody in your head that matches the chord progression of the tune, and you've tried adding some slides and hammer-ons and pull-offs to imagine what the banjo melody would sound like if you were singing it through your banjo. Now, the crucial point comes when we add roll patterns. And, it's important to remember that when Earl Scruggs was playing, as early as the 1950s, he would talk to people about the fact that he was just trying to play the melodies of the songs. Later on, folks came to him and identified some of the repeated right-hand patterns that he plays, calling them roll patterns, and Earl said, sure, let's call them that, but I am playing the melody. So our knowledge of roll patterns comes in handy when we then apply that to the melody. But what will guide us in our decision for which roll pattern to use is what classical musicians might call the melodic rhythm, the rhythm of the melody. Everything that we sing has a rhythm to it. So for instance, the rhythm of Happy Birthday to You would be, that's the melodic rhythm. So, Blue Ridge Cabin Home, there's a well-beaten path. That's the rhythm of the melody. And Earl took great pains to engineer what he was doing in his right hand in a way that he could try to get as many melody notes as possible right in the precise rhythmic spot that Lester Flatt would sing it. So a lot of times when we're doing this stuff on the fly, we just get as close as we can to it. Sometimes it's easier to play a lick that translates into a melodic phrase, or we might get 2 notes out of the 3. We spend the rest of our playing careers working with this and figuring out the mathematics. It's advanced stuff. This is what is fascinating about banjo playing in Scruggs style to me, is all the ways that we can figure out how to use roll patterns to get a melody. Let's go back to the simple melody without the slides or the hammer-ons or the pull-offs. Remember that? Right? Well, I want to give you a couple clues as to things that you could think about as you start to add roll patterns to very basic melodies. If you have a note that's held out for a long time, you could try a forward roll. And as long as your forward roll is hitting that melody note, it's going to sound pretty good. When the melody notes, the rhythm of the melody notes are closer together, you might want to look at an alternating thumb roll or a forward reverse roll to find those melody notes. Case in point here. So if we do the beginning of Blue Ridge Cabin Home, here's something that works for me. So can you hear the forward roll there? And this is one of the basic versions of the forward roll, but now what I'm doing is I'm fretting the melody note at the same time while I play the roll pattern. So that roll pattern is just simply 2, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5, 2, 1. I'm adding the melody note on the second string as I play the roll. The more confident you are with the roll, the easier this will be to coordinate the left and the right hand. That's a great Scruggs style way of representing the melody. There's a well-beaten path. Now we're going to find that J.D. Crowe does this differently, and Earl himself did it differently too, but I'm just showing you one way to do this. Now we're at the C chord, and we've already figured out that our melody note is on the 3rd string 2nd fret. Old mountainside. Well, those melody notes are pretty close together. Let's see if I do an alternating thumb roll. What the alternating thumb roll allows us to do is to get as many as 4 melody notes in one measure if we want. In this case, we've got 3 melody notes. Now, the next melody note, still on the C chord, is going to be the 4th string 2nd fret. That's an E note. And that's a longer held melody note, I think. Old mountainside. So let's see if we can make a different roll work. That would work, except our next melody note is going to be right there. So let me see if I can find something a little bit more straightforward. When in doubt, you can always bail by playing a pinch pattern, which is what I did there. Melody note, melody note. Now, I mentioned earlier that bluegrass players like J.D. Crowe and Earl Scruggs, when we get to and me, I learned it from them, when we get to the 5 chord in the key of G, there are many different ways we can fret this, but you'll find that in many, many cases for lead patterns, players will fret this D chord that is simply fretting the 3rd and 4th strings, not all of the strings. So we're going to get our index finger on the 2nd fret again and the ring finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string, and we still got the open 2nd string and the open 1st string. This works very well again with the forward roll. The melody is Old Mountainside, where I wandered. Let me play a forward roll that hits this first melody note. And then, you see what I did there? I went up with the index finger to get that 2nd string open because that's the melody note. Where I wandered when I was a lad. Now that's an example of a forward reverse roll. Melody note at the beginning. That's the end of our 2nd phrase, and we can put a fill-in lick here. Repetition, the 3rd phrase, same as the 1st. Now check this out. Again, we can use this same D form and a forward roll in which, after the thumb starts, the index finger will hit the melody note that we need to hit either on the 3rd string or the 2nd string. In those Blue Ridge hills far away, those Blue Ridge hills far away. Fill in lick. The beauty of figuring this out this way on your own using your ear, which is what I suggest doing, is that you're not looking at tablature in front of you. You're actively using your ears and your knowledge of the fretboard. And if you end up with your own arrangement that that is not dependent on looking at tablature, you'll think on your feet much more when you're playing the song with others in jam sessions. But what we came up with then here, using kind of, very simple melody with roll patterns once again. Can you hear the melody? Accompanying this lesson is a tablature of the solo that I've played, but don't forget, work up your own version of this based on what rolls are comfortable for you, what licks you know, and how you're hearing the melody. The whole idea here is the more you work up your own version, the easier it'll be to remember, and you'll have more fun playing it. What we're going to do in the next lesson, however, is we're going to take a look at a classic solo from J.D. Crowe and his break to Blue Ridge Cabin Home with the Bluegrass Album Band. The first solo sounds like this. I'm Bill Evans for Peghead Nation. Thanks for joining me.